Let's talk about the 3 simple, deceivingly simple mistakes that you could be making in your real estate wholesaling business right now as you're trying to get your first deal that are blocking you from success. And I say this too because I spoke with a few clients this week and I saw right before my eyes the mistakes that they were making, and I don't want you to make the same mistake. Mistake number 1 is that you are prioritizing strategy over marketing. A lot of times real estate investors, and I think it's because they're lacking in lead flow, they go down this rabbit hole of becoming what they call a transaction engineer. They have, like, as if you go to the grocery store and you buy this knife set that has a gazillion knives in it. And you think, oh my God, I'm ready to cook. But in reality, you only need 1 knife, right, to cook a good meal. That's the analogy here. A lot of you go down the rabbit hole of learning subject to financing and learning, lease options and learning this and learning that. And you do that because it sounds good on paper. Maybe you heard a pitch from somebody saying you should be a transaction engineer. And it could be that you just don't have enough leads. And so you feel, I gotta figure out a way to do something with all these leads because I'm literally throwing them away. I'm here to tell you that that is a mistake. You need to focus, first of all, you need to focus on one strategy. And learn that strategy well. If you're a beginner and you're trying to implement 7 strategies, you're not going to learn any one of them well, and you're going to be chasing your tail. But you need to prioritize marketing over everything, because whatever strategy you're implementing, and that could be wholesaling, it could be subject to, it could be whatever. If you prioritize marketing, which means that then now you have an overabundance of leads, then it doesn't matter how good you are, it doesn't matter how bad you are, you're going to do deals, especially if you're not that great because you're brand new starting in the business from scratch. Then more leads are going to be more opportunities, which means that even if you mess up a lead today, there's another one coming down the pipe tomorrow. And so prioritizing marketing, that is what's going to make or break you. And you don't need 7 gazillion strategies on how to do a deal. You need lots of leads. And if you have lots of leads, you're going to stumble your way to deals, even if you are a complete nincompoop. Let's talk about number 2. And number 2 is the fact that not focusing, this is a little bit strange, not focusing on how you sound, not the words you say. A lot of you may be going and doing a bunch of sales training because you don't know what to say. And you go to the sales training and you think, oh my gosh, I'm going to get some deals done. And then you don't get any deals done and you're wondering, oh, maybe I need another sales training because that other sales training wasn't that great. Well, the problem is not the sales training. The problem is not the words that are coming out of your mouth. The problem is how those words are sounding when they're coming out of your mouth. Because a lot of you have a big tonality problem. You sound like you're half dead. You sound like you ingested half a bottle of NyQuil and now you decided to call property owners. You sound like you got a sock in your mouth. That's a huge problem. We could have 2 real estate investors, both of them identically the same script. One does a heck of a lot more deals than another. And I can tell you, without a shadow of a doubt, and you could actually have one investor that has an inferior level of sales skill, an inferior script. And if that investor that is inferior sounds better than the other guy that has experience, then they are going to do more deals. So how do you sound better? Well, sounding better is a variety of different things. Number 1 is your energy level, right? Because when you're on the phone with a seller and you're on a cell phone, then that diminishes, right, your energy. And so you have to make an effort to actually increase, and almost to the point that it feels a little bit weird, your energy level, because you got to pop when you come across on that phone to that property owner. You got to feel like, oh, they're bored out of their mind, they're busy doing something, and you come on like a gangster on the phone with them, and they're like, oh, who's this guy? Who's this person here? They sound like they've had too much coffee. So that's number 1, is your energy level has to increase. The other part of it is your fluctuation, the way that, the word evades me now, but you know what I mean. It's like you can't be monotone. As I'm talking to you, I'm modulating. There might be a whisper. Oh, Mr. Seller, why did you decide now to sell the home? Right? Versus just monotone. A lot of you sound like you're like an interrogator at the passport office when you come in through, like, where are you going? What are you, like you sound like, it sounds horrible. So you gotta work on tonality. And that is something that most people don't work on. And it's going to dramatically increase your results. Because remember, Uncle Chico says, you don't need to know what you're doing. You just have to sound like you know what you're doing. Goes a long way. Now, finally, let's go for number 3, is underestimating transaction coordination. So a lot of times you come into this business, right, you're really, really focused on, you need leads. And so now you're really like, I got to get my marketing down and everything else. And I just said that in the beginning part of the video. Okay, fine, you get that done. And then you go on to the buyers. I got to find buyers. How am I going to find buyers? I'm going to get buy this software. I got to, you know, and so you figure that out. And then you don't really understand that all that could go down the tubes if you don't understand the nuances of transaction coordination. And we had a deal that we closed this Friday. Gene was involved with that deal on our team, and he was messaging me and telling me everything going on that deal, and it was like a soap opera. There's so many twists and turns. The buyer was a big issue, because he went and was avoiding our calls, went directly to the seller, told the seller that we were wholesaling the deal. And then, you know, our saving grace was that the seller was like, look, I don't care what's going on. I got to get this house sold. I got to get it closed. I need this out of my life. Had it not been for that particular situation and circumstances, the deal would have fallen through. And then at the end, there was the seller's attorney showed up. Oh my gosh. And they were there with the buyer. And, you know, the seller, you know, hired an attorney. So the attorney has to make sure that the person who hired them, which in this case is the seller, that the seller feels like they invested good money in this attorney. So he started telling them how, you know, they're losing out on the deal, they should get more money and all this other stuff. And then now Gene has to call, you know, our partner on the deal. We did this with a partner, one of our deal partners had to call them to call the buyer. It was a mess. I can guarantee you this, the partner, I don't believe, and again, I'm not saying this as a disparaging comment to him, but rather just because we know how to deal with these things and all the little nuances that come when you do these deals, is that I don't think that he would have been able to navigate through all the little nuances that we encountered in closing this deal. And so you have to be mindful of that. Because a lot of times you could go ahead and get the best deal, you get the buyer, and then stuff happens with the tenant, with the property owner, with all types of situations. We had another deal where this was, let me think about this for a second. This was Gene again, where there was a German roach infestation. We have Florida roaches. I don't even know what German roaches are. I have to look that up. But at the end, that came up. And so we had to go back and renegotiate. I believe we renegotiated with the seller, and we had to do a lot of things in order to be able to get that deal in a position where now we can put on the contract, and now we have to go to the closing table. But there's always these little things that will catch you. And so I say this because you cannot believe that everything is going to be smooth sailing once you find the buyer. You have to know that things are going to pop up. And the only way, here's the thing, there's no way to teach that. There's no way to teach that, because the only reason we know how to navigate around those things is because of the fact of the experience. So I say all that to tell you that you should get somebody involved with your transactions if you smell any of that. If it goes smoothly, then that's fine. But if you have a situation where, hey, it appears that things are coming, you know, the wheels are coming off the wagon, then at that point, then you really got to get somebody else involved, because it makes sense to get somebody else involved to get the deal closed, to eventually get you paid, to eventually now put some money in your cash register so you can do more deals, versus allowing that deal to fall through. So anyway, we just wanted to make that comment to you because I was just on a couple calls. Topic came up. And I'm also trying not to overthink these videos, because I overthink them and then I end up not recording any videos. And I like talking to you, and maybe you like listening to me. So hey, there you go. Make sure you watch the other videos and click the link in the description if you want our help in closing deals.